Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're listening to the first official KNEA Under the Dome podcast of the 2026 Kansas Legislative Session. I'm Anne Marie Bush, KNEA Director of Communications. Today you'll be hearing the voice of Timothy R. Graham, KNEA Director of Governmental Relations and Legislative Affairs. Timothy R. Graham. Well, you're Tim to me, Tim. I hope that's okay.
Absolutely. You can call me Tim.
Great. So in the coming weeks, Tim and I will be walking you through what's happening under the dome. We'll also have some featured guests, and we'll be digging deeper into the most important bills of the session. But today I'm going to step into my years of journalism experience to ask Tim about some hot button legislation moving forward right now. Before we get into that, I want to introduce you to Tim and share a little bit of his background. Tim has been KNEA's Director of Government Relations and Legislative Affairs at KNEA for 4 years. Before joining KNEA, you're going to make me read all of this, Tim?
Nah, you don't have to.
No. He spent more than 25 years working inside Kansas politics and government. He's been Director of Government Affairs for Governor Laura Kelly, Deputy Executive Director of the Kansas Lottery, Interim Executive Director of InterHab, Chief of Staff to the Kansas Senate Minority Leader, and Assistant Secretary of State for the state. Assistant Secretary of State
for the state of Kansas.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
Hey, you missed one, though.
I know. What's the other one?
The most important title I have is Dad.
Oh.
But that's all right.
How old's your son now?
He'll be 15 in a couple days.
Is he driving yet, or are you
He
practicing
drives when I'm in the car with him. So that's another reason why my blood pressure's high these days.
Did you do any? I read a lot about people going out and doing like donuts in the parking lots when it snowed.
Are you asking about me or him?
Him.
No, I don't let him do that.
That's good practice.
I'm sure it is. That's how I learned how to drive, right?
Tim, thank you for all your hard work. During the legislative session, you spent a lot of time at the State House testifying on behalf of KNEA. But another important role you play is lobbying. Can you share what all that entails?
Well, I'd say that one of the biggest part of being a lobbyist is the testimony, right? But, I see my job as somebody that has to represent the association at the State House. I try to get in front of the legislation that's coming our way because it's coming down so quickly. We try to get in front of it so we can react and respond appropriately and make sure that all of our members know what's going on at the State House.
All right. So what's a typical day look like for you?
Typical day is I've been getting there very early. I get a calendar. I look at my own calendar and I compare it with the official calendar for the day, and I make sure that I've got everything in order to the meetings I have to be at. So there will be several committee meetings, which could include me testifying. There's several opportunities for me to meet with legislators, and some of those are scheduled opportunities. Other times they're just dropping in or being invited. And then, of course, we work with our allies and our other education organization lobbyists to help us communicate with each other so none of us get behind, if you will, or miss any issues, because that's very easy to do in the legislature.
All right. Thank you for everything you do on behalf of KNEA and our members. I want to jump right in today with the bathroom bill, the House substitute for Senate Bill 244. On Monday, the House Judiciary Committee used a procedural gut and go to remove the entire contents of Senate Bill 244 and replace it with language from House Bill 2426, plus new restroom provisions. I'm not really familiar with the gut and go procedure. Can you explain that a little bit and why legislators may use that tactic?
Yeah, gut and go is exactly what it sounds. What they do is they gut the original content of the bill as it was drafted, and they replace it with an entirely new bill. And so they're gutting it, and then they're sending it through the process. They do this for many different reasons. Sometimes at the end of a session, there's not a lot of vehicles, if you will. And what I mean by that is there's not a lot of bills that are in committee that can be used to advance policy, so they have to use a bill that's not even related to the issue itself, and they have to gut it and send it through the process. Another reason they do it, and in this case, the reason they're doing it is because the House has taken a Senate bill, and so they've gutted that Senate bill. They've put their language in it. They're debating it right now as we speak because they passed it out of the committee. They're debating it in the House right now as we speak, and if that passes, then all the Senate has to do is make a motion to concur to the action that the House did, and it'll go straight to the governor's office. And so what they're doing here with this gut and go, they're preventing a lot of testimony. In this case, what would be a lot of opposition testimony. And so they're just kind of making their own path easier to pass the bill that they're trying to pass. And when I say they, I'm talking about the majority party who's promoting this legislation and is using this procedure to get their bill passed.
So that would be the Republicans.
That would be the Republicans in Kansas, yes.
So I know you and I both listened a little bit today to some of the debate that was happening. Any thoughts or takeaways from what you were able to hear today?
Well, it's a very divisive bill, right? There are people on both sides that are really dug in on their positioning. And so you could probably expect that the debate, even when we were listening a few minutes ago, is very hot. It's very personal. There are people that are referring to colleagues at the floor, at the well, as they call it, which is basically the microphone when they debate. So it's a really contentious debate going on right now, and there's going to be a lot of hot feelings, and it's just another thing that's dividing this legislature at this time.
And that was something that was brought up during the portion I was listening to, was the country's already divided, and this is yet another divisive kind of, I guess.
Yeah, given everything that's going on nationwide right now, everybody's dug in their camps, and this bill is certainly plays into that anxiety, if you will.
So, Tim, can you actually maybe talk a little more about this substitute bill and kind of what it's going to do and what it entails?
Yeah, sure. So obviously we're calling it the bathroom bill. There have been similar bills in the past that we've used the same moniker for. This bill basically initially was another bill, 2426, and that was that we called it a driver's license bill, but basically it was a bill that would require Kansas drivers to use their biological sex at birth on their driver's license. During the committee debate, they weren't even debating, I don't think, 5 or 10 minutes before one representative added this amendment into it, which is what we now call the bathroom amendment. And that's why they had to gut and go and drop it into a Senate bill. So basically, what the amendment does, it would require Kansas government buildings, which we believe would include schools, to designate or multi-occupancy private spaces such as restrooms, locker rooms, and changing rooms as either male or female. Individuals would be required to use the facility that matches their biological sex at birth. So we don't have to go into the details. We know exactly what that does. That will force, let's not even go into that.
Okay.
Yep.
So a question I have for you on the gut and go, is that something you've seen? I mean, has that happened? Is it typical? And is that the reasoning for that, just so there's not giving the public the right to come and voice their opinion, or organizations like KNEA? Yeah,
that's a pretty common tactic. I'm going to say they use it several times a year. Sometimes they're doing it because they're being nefarious. Sometimes they do it because they run out of time and it's an agreement that we need to get something done. In this case, it is basically to stymie debate. The Republicans really feel like they've debated this issue at length over the years, and the Democrats right now, if you listen to the debate, they're really upset about the process and how there's not going to be public hearings. And some of them are saying, well, I understand that we may have been debating this as a body for years, but there's several new legislators on both sides of the aisle that never haven't had an opportunity to see this bill go all the way through the process. So that's one of the procedural debates that's going on right now as we speak. Along with all the other things that this bill entails and the emotions that it triggers.
And you had mentioned kind of the process, but can you just briefly again walk through what will happen after today?
So I believe that it's going to pass, and it's going to pass very easily. We'll see how close it gets to a constitutional majority. In other words, how close it gets to the number that could override a veto. I think it's going to get pretty close to that, is my guess, which is 84, and maybe even a couple more votes than that. Then at that point, the Senate can make a motion at any time to concur. The motion would be something along the lines of, a senator would get up and make the motion at any time that the motion to concur with the changes in Senate Bill 244. And if that passes, then it goes straight to the governor's office. And then we sit around and wait and see whether she's going to veto it.
Okay. And just speaking in generalities, not necessarily this bill, but what happens if she does veto a bill? What's the next step then?
So after a veto, you can let it stand, right? If they don't think they have the votes to override a veto, they may not go through that motion because it's another painful, long debate, and it's a divisive debate. If they think they can override her, they'll try to do it. And again, a motion would be made, and should that motion pass to override her veto, it would go to the next chamber, and then a motion again would be made to override that veto. And if it is overridden in both chambers, then it becomes law.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that, Tim. KNA has been tracking a lot of bills. I think last time we talked, it was over 150, and we're only in the third week of the session. Are there any other bills we're keeping an eye on that you want to just highlight briefly?
There is, Ann, and before I do that, I haven't told you, but we're almost up to 200.
Oh, wow.
Bills that we're tracking.
Wow.
Yes, a lot of stuff was introduced this week. A lot of stuff, and a lot of it was not good for us. So anyways, tomorrow we are actually going to testify in support of House Bill 2487. This is a bill that would expand the Kansas Education Opportunity Scholarship to include paraprofessionals. This is a scholarship that's run through the Kansas Board of Regents, and it's tailored for the children of educators.
Speaking of that, do you know what your son's going to do yet? Is he going to go into education?
I don't believe he's thought about going into education. He's told me maybe be a veterinarian, so...
So not a bill or not a scholarship.
I think he must like dogs more than he likes kids. No, I'm kidding.
But we're asking for some addition or some amendments to that.
Yeah, we are. So in the testimony, we're asking that the bill be written to include all classified personnel. That way it would extend the eligibility to other essential school employees like secretaries, custodial staff, possibly bus drivers, food service workers, and the others that are critically important to the daily operation of Kansas schools. We're going to ask for that in our testimony, and then we're going to try to talk to folks behind the scenes and see if they'd be willing to do that. I've already reached out to the Kansas Board of Regents and asked them if that would be a friendly amendment, and they didn't seem to have any heartburn with that at this time. So we'll try to work on that.
Okay.
Another bill that we're going to testify, and in this case we're going to testify in opposition to, is Senate Bill 387. That bill is being heard tomorrow in the Senate Committee on Government Efficiency. It's being touted as a bill to clean up so-called fraud and abuse within the school lunch programs. And basically what it's doing, it's requiring school districts to verify the household gross income of students who qualify for free meals under the National School Lunch Program. This bill would place barriers for families that really need this support. Teachers recognize on a daily basis how much of a problem hunger is in the classroom, particularly as it is to the child's mental health in their learning environment. So it was a natural no for us to do this. We have concerns that the bill may put Kansas out of compliance with federal law, or at least federal guidelines under the National School Lunch Program. So this is a bill that we feel like is unnecessary, and it's not the problem, or it's not the job of the schools to have to police this. The other thing that this bill would do, and we argue, is that it's creating an unfunded mandate, because schools are going to have to create new reporting procedures, possibly even hire new people to do what the legislature is mandating it to do in this case. So, again, very easy no for us on that bill.
All right. I know today the Kansas Teacher of the Year finalists and winner also visited the State House to present. I think that was before a joint meeting of the House and Senate Education Committees.
It was. Every year, the Kansas Teacher of the Year, the class, if you will, the finalist and then the winner, they come to the Capitol and they have a joint committee meeting before both committees, the House and the Senate, as you said. It's a really great day. Everybody celebrates those teachers, and it's always a good time for the committee and for the members as well.
And an interesting tidbit: did you know they were all KNEA members this year?
I heard that.
Yeah, so that's really great. And I know it's a great program, and they have a great time over there. So, we've also had a lot of retiree ambassadors and other members advocating at the State House. So it's been a really great start to the 2026 legislative session. So I wanted to just, again, thank you, our KNEA retired members, along with other KNEA members. You guys have been incredibly busy so far. Thanks for all your hard work. Any other last-minute thoughts or comments?
Ann, I want to put a spotlight on your hard work and ask everybody, if they listen to this, to make sure that they are on our distribution list to get our newsletter, and that they can find our website easily.
Yeah, www.ksutd.org.
Yeah, Ann's done a tremendous job of rebuilding that site, and I really encourage you guys to look at it and read more about what we're doing on a daily basis up here.
Yeah, I think our entire team has done really well, and I want to thank
Mackenzie as well.
Mackenzie's here. She's running the back. She's in the background for us. But anyway, thank you for joining us for the first Under the Dome podcast. Join us next time when Tim will be discussing happenings under the dome,
or maybe bringing somebody else to talk about it.
That's true. As long as, I don't know. I guess you'll have to tune in.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day.